We're so honored to have you on with us because you got the Soul Summit come up. This looks so cool. This is going to be such a great event. You got to be so excited, right?
Yeah, I am always.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us what we can expect from this because there's going to be a lot of really cool people there.
So Her Soul the Experience is really a space for women to be vulnerable, to release, and specific for women who've experienced trauma in their lives, right? To be able to connect with different women and to get tools to help them on their healing journey. So it's it's going to be good. This is my third time doing it. The first time I did one in Houston, second time in Atlanta. So every time I do it, I try to take it to a different state. So we're going to Chicago next in October.
Good. Well, tell us about some of these great guests that we're going to see over there.
So every time I host these events, I like to be strategic on who I'm choosing because I want to be able to attack this event from a spiritual as well as clinical aspect. Especially with myself being a therapist, bringing that clinical piece, and then we've had Samantha Lee on in the past. We've had Tamika Raymond on the in the past. We've had Real Talk Kim on. And so this time I did things a little bit different because I want women to know that you don't have to be of certain stature, right? To be able to experience and go through things. So I allowed the regular woman to be able to
Yeah.
come on the panel and share their stories, um, and see how that can impact the other individuals in the room too. So we're doing panel style, and then we also have Bree Babineau, who is a famous gospel artist. She will be blessing us on the stage too. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Well,
yeah.
tell me about your journey as a therapist. When did you decide to do this? And I know that you've helped so many people so far.
Well, I would say that this journey chose me.
Yeah.
I come from a background of a family with mental health, and at a very young age, I felt that I was that go-to person. My first job, my first real job was with the state of Louisiana, where I'm from, working for child protection. And it was
Mm.
there that I determined that I had a greater purpose and that it was something that I really wanted to do. And so I started to, of course, just go to school, get the education. Now here I am licensed in 6 states. I have my own outpatient behavior health clinics. And I just want to be able to reach the masses and bridge the gap for mental health. So that's kind of how me having that passion for it is just it in my family and just knowing that this is what God called me to do.
Yeah. Well, and this is a great time to do it too, because we're finally in a place where people are able to talk a little bit more openly about mental health because it's a huge
Absolutely.
it's a huge thing for a lot of us because there's so many
Mhm.
years where it's kind of I just didn't really talk about it that much, right?
Yeah, we did not grow up. That wasn't a norm for us, right?
Mhm.
So you hear a lot of people talking about, mental health, depression, anxiety, like those weren't words that were thrown around, especially me growing up. And I'm really happy that people are being a little bit more prevalent to it now because of the fact is we have to understand that what's real is what's real. And I
Mhm.
always use the analogy that sometimes I tell people, like, if you're living in today's world, like if you haven't experienced any type of anxiety, depression, like I want to be able to talk to you to see what you're doing
Yeah.
because it's just something that we go through. It's a normal part of life. And for everyone who is really taking care of their physical health, they need to take care of their mental health too, because it ties in together. When you're not doing good mentally, it affects your physical, vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say are some good tips along that just it's mentally physically because I think that is a big thing that sometimes we wonder what's wrong with us but when you start to go down the checklist maybe we're not doing it right.
It's the everyday thing, right? Because life is life, and there's certain things that we go through that we just have to go through. I think that the one good thing about it is paying attention to a person's mindset. Like your mindset has to be in the right stage. If something negative happens, you have to immediately think the positive because we can't change what happened, but we can change how we react to it, right? I also think that just taking that time for self,
Mhm.
setting boundaries is really important. I've been a person just had to be to and for a lot of people in my life, and it's better when you really take into consent, like, okay, this is my mental health, and I want to be able to preserve that because I went through a point in life where I was really, really down and depressed when I got sick and did not know what was wrong with me. And I literally told myself, I said, you know what? When I'm thinking about what I don't want to experience, like I'm like, I just don't want to lose my mind, right? Because mentally we struggle with so much. And I've had to force myself to take the time for self, set those boundaries, and make sure that I'm protecting my peace and my space. And so I encourage everyone to do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's also hard because you're listening to, you're taking on everyone else's the weight of everything that people are bringing to you, in addition to, anything else that you might have. And so how do you decompress?
Well, again, like I said, I'm a firm believer in self-care.
Yeah.
I learned earlier on in my career to take it step by step. I have some therapist friends, they see clients from 9 to 6. I always had a part time because I knew that it was important for me to be okay in order to pour into my clients. And so I did not want to overwhelm myself. But a lot of times, if I'm coming home, I may sit in my car for a couple of hours just to kind of,
Mm.
decompress. That helps me to where when I'm home, right? I'm not worried about the different things. And of course, as therapists, we get to determine what we practice, like what, if someone comes to me and say, hey, I'm dealing with this condition and I know that that's not my space or my area, then that's not something that I'm taking on. So I practice self-care. I have to pencil myself in my own schedule. I'm going to make sure I get my massages. I'm going to make sure I meditate. And that's what helps me and keeps me going because I have to be good for my clients.
Yeah, I love that. And so, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that wants to follow in your footsteps and, not only help other people, but, create something that on a grand scale that will help a lot of people?
I would say the people that you have around you is very important. um, when you're called to do some things, of course, you're going to face challenges. And I always try to be honest with people to let them know, like, don't expect to go on a specific journey and not experience something. You have to prepare yourself for that. And sometimes you can't, but you deal with it and move on. But when you're able to push through those things and defy the odds, like, you'll be able to see the reward in that. It's something that really happened with me as well, but I've been lucky to be able to have people around me that continue to push me and motivate me, even when I wanted to quit.
Mhm.
That's very important. I always talk about surrounding yourself with the right type of people because I think that can make or break any situation. So that will be the thing. Just don't give up. If you have something that you want to do, make sure that you see it through.
I love that. Well, my co-host is Drew Pearson, one of our great Dallas Cowboys. Caught the Hail Mary, went in the Hall of Fame, and we'd love to talk about people's Hail Mary moments, the moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you?
I would say, to be honest, when I started Her Soul, like
Mm.
Her Soul actually started from me creating a healing journal for women who was going through trauma. And I did it because I had to heal from losing my father. And so it was something for me that I wanted to share with other women. So I created a healing journal as well as healing affirmation cards. And so as I'm promoting that, and I'm like, okay, what else? I feel like it's something else, bringing the women together. And so that's how Her Soul, the experience, was born. And I don't call it a conference because it's not. These women actually come to this event and they actually have an experience. They don't leave how they came. Um, when we talk about mental health, people are very apprehensive to be vulnerable. They don't want to talk about things, right? Because if I tell you, okay, hey, I need you to go back and be bit by this snake again, you don't want to go back and be bit by that same snake. So a lot of times we don't want to go back and revisit the things that hurt us, but not
Mhm.
understanding that's a part of our process and how we grow. And so giving women the power to say, I'm able to do this, because sometimes we got to forgive. We got to
Mhm.
understand that we're not going to get the apologies that we're looking for. And we just have to do the things for us. So when I created Her Soul, the experience, and just seeing each time that I do this, the women that I impact, that was my Hail Mary moment. I was like, okay, I have to do this. This is my passion.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, also on the show,
Yeah.
we talk. that mindset that you have to have, that success mindset. And hey, we're harder on ourselves. So is there something that you keep in mind that keeps you on the right path? Is it your faith? Is it a certain prayer? Is it a mantra or phrase that you tell yourself that kind of keeps you going?
Well, it's definitely my faith. And that has strengthened over time. Of course, when I lost my dad, I lost my faith, you
Yeah.
know. So a lot of people always ask me, like, why didn't I speak at my first Soul conference? And I was like, because I felt like I needed to get something as well before I was able to get in front of the other women, right? It's all about leading by example. I'm a therapist. I'm not perfect. I have my own therapist. We go through things together, but being able to show the women that it can be done. But for me, the main thing is grace. I always say, Kosha, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace because I am one of the people that I'm hard on myself, right? If it's not right, and I don't want anything to be messed up, but I'm like, okay, hey, if you give yourself the grace and not have such high expectations, because that's when that letdown comes in, I think you're better off to know that, okay, hey, if it didn't work out, because I'm always a solution focused person too. If it
Mhm.
didn't work out, then what's the additional solution? What else can I do? And my main thing that I always tell people too is not stressing about the things that they can't control.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And
Yeah.
how can people get involved in this event coming up? How can they help? How can they attend and all that?
So we have our website, which is hersoultheexperience.com. They can also follow me on social media at She Counsels. I have all of the information put there. We're accepting vendors, sponsors, the whole nine, and we just want women to come and get that release in what they need. It's pretty much almost not really retreatish, but it's something big for women to be able to push through. So yeah, they can visit the website, hersoultheexperience.com, or they can send me a message on She Counsels and I'll definitely get them the information so to get their tickets.
Good. And my other co-host, Jen Reed, she wanted me to make sure I get some last closing words of encouragement for you because there's a lot of people that are just going through it right now.
Um, I think a word of encouragement is just kind of understanding that life is right. And I always say that in a context of when we think about life is there's a lot of things that we go through, and what we go through is not always to in a sense break us, right? There's life lessons in everything that we experience. It's all about mindset and how you think. So when I go through stuff, I always like, well, what is this teaching me? Right?
Mhm.
What is the purpose of this? I'm not exempt from going through anything, but how do I move through it and how do I deal with it, right? In the most effective way, because in certain situations there isn't the right way to do it. It's what works for each individual person. So I would say, for that advice would be just to, again, give yourself that grace and take life one step at a time.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, we're going to tell
Yeah.
everybody to come and check this out because this is something so
Thank
special.
you.
So grateful that you're able to do this, and we hope that one of the next cities will be in the
Yes.
great state of Texas.
Yeah, you're in Texas?
Yes, I'm right deep in the heart in Dallas.
Okay, I'm in Houston.
Oh yes, of course. Well, hey, we
Yeah.
we we got to have a Houston time then, right?
Yeah, my first one was here in Houston, and someone just asked me the other day. She was like, "Are you ever going to do another one in Houston?" And I
Yeah.
have some people who are telling me, "You need to come to Dallas." So who
Hmm.
knows? That may be the next stop. We don't know.
That's right. Well, hey,
Yes.
I know this is absolutely worth traveling to, so we're going to tell everyone to check
Yes.
it out and go and support. And thank you so much for all that you
Thank
do for women.
you. Thank you
And I
so much.
appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Have an amazing
Hey,
one.
thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. You too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.